Hello, it's Mark here from Yokel Bear Reads, and I'm going to do a book review. And this book review is a little bit different because normally when I've read a book and I do a review of it on this channel, I kind of put the book away for a couple of days. I think about what I'd read, what I liked about it, and make some notes and then record the video. This book I finished reading 10 minutes ago. And for the past 10 minutes, I've just literally been staring into space because this book is astounding. And, well, let me explain. I think sometimes books are meant to entertain, sometimes books are meant to comfort. And when it comes to crime and thrillers, I can get as cozy as the next person. You know, I can lie under my nice fluffy blankie on the sofa and read a good Agatha Christie or a Grant Chester short story by James Runcie. But I also like dark psychological thrillers, and as you know, I like a bit of horror as well. And so it takes a lot to shock me. It takes a lot to kind of really sit there with my mouth open going, oh my God. And this book did it. And that's why I wanted to review it straight away, just so I can get out what's in my head about this book. And the book is A Version of the Truth by B.P. Walters, which has recently come out in paperback. Now, it's got a recommendation from A.J. Finn, and as you might have seen, that's a whole other story about A.J. Finn. I might do a video on the A.J. Finn revelations in the New Yorker, wasn't it? Did something. Anyway, that's besides the point. This book, psychological thriller, and on the front, you know, the strapline there, how long can a lie stay hidden? So, you know, first of all, it's about a lie from the past, maybe. And this book is set in two time frames, one of which is 2019, so bang up to date, which is Julianne is the main character, and she's preparing for a dinner party when her son, Stephen, calls her up to his bedroom because Stephen has found something on his iPad, a Dropbox account containing documents that seems to belong to his father, James, who was married to Julianne. And he's not quite sure what it is, but it looks terrible. It looks as if these documents are about something really wrong. As it says on the back here, it's something so terrible it will turn Julianne's world into a nightmare and make her question everything about a marriage and what type of man her husband really is. And it does that with bells on. Now, initially, the documents that Stephen finds doesn't really make much sense. But you glean from it, this can't be good. And as the novel progresses, you find out more and more about what these documents mean. And I'll come back to that in a minute. I also want to say about the character of Stephen, what I really loved about this was that it's revealed really, really early on that Stephen, who's like a teenage boy, he's about 17, is in a relationship with another teenage boy. Both of them are just about to go to university. And what I liked about that was the fact that it wasn't a big thing. It was just like, it was mentioned, he's got a boyfriend, you know, how's your boyfriend, says his mum. And it was just completely normal and brilliant and, you know, like, there wasn't a big thing made about it. So I think in terms of just like realistic representation, big thumbs up on that one. Really liked that. So that's one strand. The other strand of this book is set in 1990, and it's about Holly, who's a fresher at Oxford University, but she comes from a bit of a working class background. And she falls in with a kind of a group of older students who are obviously a bit, maybe from a different class, maybe better off. Certainly culturally seem to be more middle class or upper class than she is, and, you know, seem to maybe have a bit of money and stuff like that. There's a brilliant bit in there about going to a Wimpy, which for those that are not British based or not over a certain age, Wimpy was like a forerunner of kind of McDonald's and stuff in Britain. It was like a fast food restaurant. But in here, they kind of go there, and it's almost like ironic that they're going there. And that kind of gives the sense of class, maybe. And these two stories don't seem to be linked in any way, but as it goes on, it's one of those ones where you can see that the link is coming. Now, why do I like this book? Well, I think like is a very difficult word. I like the book. The book's so well written. For a debut author, this is great. It's really well written. The dialogue, the prose, everything's just so well written about it. This guy knows how to write, basically. Did I enjoy it? Yes, but only because I think sometimes fiction needs to shock you and challenge you and put you on the spot, and this really did, because when you find out what these documents that Julianne has found, or Julianne's son has found, and what they mean, it's probably one of the most shocking twists I've had in a book in a long time, and also left me feeling there's a bleakness to it that it's hard to put into words. Now, this will be a spoiler-free review. I am not going to tell you what it is, because the power of this book comes from being able to turn the page and just have something just like hit you in the face, and or a piece of information that 2 seconds later suddenly you realise what that means, and it just leaves you shocked. There's almost an element of horror in this book, not supernatural horror, not monsters and stuff like this, not even really kind of serial killer type horror. There's something almost kind of as bad as that, but different. That's all I'm going to say. I think sometimes debut authors come along and they, their debut novels are like a bang. They just kind of explode out and there's this brilliant debut novel. This didn't so much explode as went off like a nuclear bomb. It was incandescent in places in terms of how it was making me feel. I didn't feel good during a lot of this book, because another thing this book is about power. It's about people that have power over people that don't have power, and where that inequality of power can lead people to almost lose all of their morals and to almost see poor people as a commodity to be consumed. And this book really did shock me. When I finished it about 15 minutes ago, I just sat there staring into space. What would I give this book in terms of? I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's a 5 out of 5. It kept me drawn in, it challenged me, it shocked me. And like I said, sometimes fiction isn't meant to be something that is cosy and lovely and wraps you up like a blanket. Sometimes fiction is there to challenge you, and fiction is there as made to make you think about the world. And that's kind of what this did. It made me think about power, made me think about relationships, and made me think about how women are treated in society, but also how, poverty and drug addiction and, how these can be things that can be turned against people just because of their social status. But as well as that, as well as making me think like this, it's just a damn fine psychological thriller. So yeah, that's my initial off-the-cuff review of B.P. Waters' A Version of the Truth. You really should read this, but I will tell you there are bits of this that are not for the faint-hearted. But if you feel as though that you could stomach it, it's really, really worth reading. Anyway, that is my off-the-cuff review, A Version of the Truth. Brilliant, 5 out of 5.